Are we live? Didn't get an intro this morning. Not sure why. Let's see the comments. Anybody? Morning, people. AC, good morning. And Carrie, good morning. Lucas, morning, guys. Okay, so today's topic is a little disappointing, a little bewildering, um, and very controversial. I'm going to go ahead and play the the key video here. The key problem we have.
Your memo and release yesterday on Jeffrey Epstein, it left some lingering mysteries. One of the biggest ones is whether he ever worked for a American or foreign intelligence agency. The former Labor Secretary, who was Miami U.S. Attorney Alex Kosticki, allegedly said that he did work for an intelligence agency. So could you resolve whether or not he did? And also, could you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape on the minute set?
Yeah, sure. If I
Could I just interrupt for
Sure.
a second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talking. We have this. We have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this where we're.
Okay. So hopefully, I'm frustrated again. You forgive me, folks, but I just have to somehow deal with this internet problem I have. Very slow. I think I'm on the right Wi-Fi channel here, but maybe I'll get this resolved. If I'm coming through sticky, I know last week I watched and I was very choppy. So if I'm that way this morning, you'll have to bear with me again. I'll try and get that resolved. So, yeah, and Lucas, I'm trying. So that's why I'm a little slow here. I hope that came through. That was Trump firing back at a reporter who had a question on Jeffrey Epstein. He was involved in intelligence. There's been rumors that he was involved with the CIA and with Israeli, and why there was a tape. There was a 1 minute gap in that tape. The tape that they released that said that showed that there's nobody going in and out, except there was a 1 minute gap, and I think it happened to be at the time of death. Yeah, I am a bit broken up. Sorry about that. And I have tried everything, so I'll have to get maybe with someone. Yeah, a bit broken up. Well, Carrie, I said I agree with him on that much at a time like this. No, this is the time. And this is one of the things. Jeffrey Epstein's case was one of the things that broke the deep state in people's minds. That is the representation of the deep state. That is the reputation of the elite, the political and entertainment elite, and the financial elite in this country being untouchable. And whatever happened, that crystallized in people's minds. It's very easy for people to understand what happened with that case. Here's a super wealthy financier and his girlfriend, right? And rich people, billionaires, with an island, and they still haven't addressed the island, what they found on the island, right? but he's got this plane that he flies. We've got photographic evidence. We've got testimony from that one woman who was a young girl at the time, and now she just recently died, and she said, "I'm going to die from suddenly," and she knew she's going to happen. I think she was poisoned or something, but and so all these rich, famous people going on this airplane to his island. That's very easy for people to understand what's going on there, and it had the air of the elites being untouchable and will get away with anything. Okay, and that they have a different set of rules than we are, and it involved young girls, the most vulnerable of our society, right? Maybe next to the abortion issue. This represents the most vulnerable in our society being victimized by elites who have no consequences and can do what they want and are free to act out their evil desires with no consequences and will have cover. So um, there is no Trump's wrong on this. This is the worst I've ever seen Trump do. That was a total unforced error. Um, you know, I love him as a president, and he's very good. But boy, was that a bad move on his part. And because this is personal for people, and to think that a guy with that much money who's associating with rich, powerful, famous people with underage girls involved on an island with a plane, and then all of a sudden he got in Florida, he got let off with a slap on the wrist for um, I think child basically child molesting, I think, charges. And I think the U.S. attorney or district attorney went soft on him, and the mayor or the sheriff of the county was livid. Um, so, what? Oh, Carrie. Okay, Carrie's gonna. I'm just saying, don't ask a question about Epstein during the loss of all those people in Texas. I'm not saying don't get to the bottom of this case. We deserve to know the truth. Well, then that's what he should have said. He should have said, "Hey, we'll get to that." The fact that they're saying there's nothing there, it isn't all that surprising. I mean, this is the deep state we're talking about. This is very powerful people, and there very well could be. This very well could have been the deep state erasing all the evidence. I mean, obviously, for and again to continue the conspiracy theory, but he's in jail, supposed to be in a secure facility. He's supposed to have a cellmate. He doesn't. He's supposed to have guards patrolling. They suddenly fall asleep. And this video they're showing us was supposedly from a video they said wasn't working. So originally they said, "Oh, we don't have any video at all," when they did. So, I mean, all of this in people crystallized in people's mind really did the deep state, and that's what Trump ran against. He ran against the deep state. He ran against the powerful elites in Washington and Hollywood and Wall Street, right? And this represented that. So even at that time, um, let's see, you had Bondi. She should have kept her mouth shut. Bondi should be smart enough for that. She needs to go. Yeah, she later on, after in the rest of that video, she's saying that she did say at one point that she had the list on her desk, or somebody asked her about the list. She said, "Yeah, that's on my desk," and then now she's backtracking and saying, "Oh, she just meant that the paperwork was on her desk." Okay. um, what did you say? 10-1 odds say Epstein is still alive and the island is Mossad honeypot. Okay. I haven't heard of that one. I have not heard of that one. Um, yeah. Uh, Nothing consistent from her. Yeah. And then, hey, see, this is the first time I've been upset with this administration. Me too. Honestly, me too. And it's like I said, it's a total unforced error. And even, in it, if that was inappropriate for that time, for um, uh, that press conference or whatever, I guess it was a cabinet meeting, right? Then that's the way they should approach it. They should be out in front of this, and they should realize what this means to the American people. So when that question was brought up, it said, "Hey, okay, we understand. We're going to get to that after, but we need to talk about this. There's flooding in Texas right now, the tragedy. So let's put that on hold. We'll get to that. I've got, we'll have a press conference this afternoon, something like that. But to just say, come on, we've been talking about this 7 years ago. Who cares? Boy, that's a bad move. And and the left's jumping on it too. And they should. Honestly, they should, because that's just um, okay. Yes, he is. On the island. Mark my words, Gary. I'm going to mark your words right now. They are marked. Um, okay. Um, so, but it brings to mind a lot of different things that Trump um, kind of represented for people. He was going to get to the bottom of the Kennedy assassination, both Kennedy assassinations. Um, didn't do that. So people were expecting this from him, and he gave us this expectation that these dark secrets would be, would be unearthed and uncovered and brought to the light of day. And I think when he released the Kennedy assassination files, they were all redacted. They were all blacked out, right? So, um, so it's disappointing. It really is, and it brings to mind a lot of Bible verses, and the Bible really does talk about this, because what we're really talking about here um, is the wicked getting away with it, and this is a really wicked thing. That and really the only consequences have been the girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell. She's in jail, and I remember when she went to jail, she's like, "Wait a minute, this isn't supposed to happen. We're untouchable." She couldn't believe that actually she was getting consequences for this, and of course Epstein, who one way or another met. I'm not going to even say it's an untimely end or an unfortunate end. I mean, it's hard really to have any sympathy for a guy being set up like that, if he was, or just the pathetic way to go. But, for a guy, she did say that, Pam Bondi did say that all the video that they have gotten was child pornography that he had downloaded. And, again, somebody mentioned that it's gaslighting. We didn't we did not sign up. We did not elect Trump in this massive political earthquake to be gaslit. Okay. So hopefully in the days to come, they'll get, um, let's see, I think, yeah. They see what happened to phase one and phase two that she said would roll out, and now nothing, and trust them. Yeah, they've lost a lot of trust. Uh, so 1 minute is long enough to walk out the door and leave. It only takes 30 seconds. Uh, I don't know. Does it take 30 seconds to strangle a guy? And they knew, if what she said is true, every uh, if every prison has a 1 minute gap between 11:59 at midnight, if that's every prison, well then somebody knows that. So somebody knows at 11:59 on the dot, you get in that cell. I don't know. I don't know how they did it. To set that all up in a minute and then get away. I don't know. That's a little iffy. Something is really wrong here. Um, so, Carrie, I think Trump's biggest promise is for day one, he should have known better. But that's what all the confusion of the citizens is coming from. Do they feel they need to get info out? And now I hear he was on a lower level but upper level cell. I don't know. Yeah. Um, and then she's with Jeffrey. She hasn't heard diddly on her since the trial. Yeah. She was supposed to have all the dough. Why hasn't she? So maybe this is nothing. It could be nothing. It could be just a couple perverts, rich perverts, doing what they want. And I don't know. Bill O'Reilly did come out and say that he had had a conversation with Trump, and Trump had told him that the Epstein files could really hurt a lot of people. The list, and his reasoning was, they weren't part of the island. They weren't part of the perverted sex crime ring, but they were associated with him, so their reputations could be destroyed by just being associated with him, and that's why they're not coming out. But you know, justice, you know, hopefully you got to trust that the American people can handle the truth. And if that's the case, then when you roll them out, say, hey, these are the people that are, as far as we know, are innocent of any wrongdoing. Something like that. But somebody has to come out now and say, look, this is what we thought was going on, but we were wrong. Or this is what we thought we had, turns out we didn't. Or just say, hey, the deep state got to this before we could come in. As we tried, and there's just nothing. There's nothing left, but we're going to keep going. But to be dismissive of it like that, and to say, oh, nothing to see here, go on. It just, I can't imagine them doing any worse than this. I really can't. And Carrie, yeah, I don't hold people guilty of association. Yeah. And I don't think most people would. I think most people would get it. So, and again, Donald, there's pictures of Trump with Jeffrey Epstein from years ago. They met apparently and got a picture taken of them. Nobody is saying, believe me, if there was any evidence that Trump was involved in this, we would have heard it years ago. So, again, that's even if they were his clients and he was, managing their money for him, doesn't, in people's minds, didn't really mean anything, because there was that airplane and there was that passenger manifest and there was, that island. So, but anyway, so maybe that's one of the reasons he doesn't want to hurt people's reputation by associating them with Jeffrey Epstein. But, again, this is important to the American people. And again, I'll get back to the overall biblical principle. It obviously was the wicked prospering. Okay. And the Bible does talk a lot about this. And here I am again. So make sure it's up here. Add to the stage. There we go. So do not fret. Psalm 37. Do not fret or be envious of those who do wrong, for like the grass, they will soon wither, like green plants, they will soon die away. And then later on, do not fret when people succeed in their ways, when they carry out their wicked schemes. Where is it? Right here. Refrain from anger and turn from wrath. Do not fret. It only leads to evil. For those who are evil will be destroyed, but those who hope in the Lord will inherit the land. And it goes on to talk about more and more when you see the wicked prosper. And this is what's happening here. We're seeing the wicked get away with their wicked schemes. And we can hold our leaders accountable for this. And again, it is aggravating, and we feel like we're being gaslighted, and we feel like we've been misled. And hopefully they'll get out in front of it again and take it seriously and realize their error and correct it, because that's really what we're all looking for. And then give us a good, clear explanation. But it looks like the wicked have succeeded. Okay, it looks like the wicked have gotten away. Whether it was really nothing and it was just all hyped up or whatever, mass hysteria, um, or whether the deep state covered everything up, or whether it's a misguided concern on Trump's part to say, "Hey, I don't want to ruin a lot of good people's reputations by all this." Um, Whatever it is, we have an eternal perspective. And the Bible does talk a lot about this. Psalm 37 was not the only one that talks about that. But the wicked will eventually get what's coming to them. They have succeeded here on earth, but we have eternal perspective. And God promises us, again, this is not, God doesn't gaslight, right? Thankfully, we have uh, a Heavenly Father who is in control, who is righteous, and has a righteous standard, and we can trust that. And it's not for us to get uh, too bent out of shape when the wicked prosper. We're all to fight that, but in the end, we know it's not our battle because we can't win in this flawed world. Okay, even with someone with as good intentions as Donald Trump coming in um, and failing so far, there is the eternal hope that we have that other people don't. And for those women who were victimized, they were young girls then, they're women now, and who knows what scars they have, who knows what's happened to them since. Like that one lady who did speak out. I can only pray that God would send some kind of comfort to them, and hopefully they'll have that eternal perspective also, because that's who we really have to think about. And that's not, we've totally lost focus on that this is what was happening. Those young girls were victimized by that awful man and that horrible, horrible woman that facilitated all this. And again, my prayers go out to them, first of all, because I think they've been lost in this. And the ones that did speak out, risked so much and were so courageous. So, but anyways, and then I had a little, well, I won't, I had a California story for you. I don't really have time to go into it, but there is, we've been talking, there's a lot of talk in the country now about the Civil War. And a lot of things, even like these floods in Texas, some of the response to people fled in Texas and New Mexico are both red states, right? I think New Mexico was red, wasn't it? And some people, some really snarky leftists have kind of said things like people got what they voted for with these floods, as if, you know, I guess people were saying in the LA fires earlier this year that people got what they voted for. So, but that was kind of cold, but it's a little bit different in that the fires could have been stopped. I'm not sure if these floods could have been stopped. I don't know how you stop the rain. I know there was some cloud seeding things going on that people were talking about, but um, but it just shows how fractured the country is. And so there's always been a lot of talk about Civil War and secession. And I came across an article, or a article and a couple of videos that California, a professor at UC Santa Barbara is predicting that in 10 years, my state will secede from the Union and there will be a civil war. And so UC Santa Barbara. And I wouldn't doubt it that there'll be something like that happening in 10 years. The way things are going, I might even give it 5 years. But that's kind of where we're headed here. And as usual, California's right at the forefront in a lot of these things. Um, but I wonder. Well, first of all, there's no loonier institution than the University of California's system. Um, there's two educational systems, higher education systems in California, like most states. There's the University of California system, and there's the State University of California system. So the UC schools are the higher academic, and the state schools, like my alma mater, San Diego State, are the more accessible public schools. So the UC system in California is one of the highest reputation and the one everybody wants to get into. And it's also the looniest. It's just crazy. UC San Diego down here was the ground zero for all the DEI educational craziness you could think of. It was just all over. UC Santa Barbara, my nephew went there. It's Santa Barbara itself is quite a lefty city, and UC Santa Barbara, along with UCLA, the campuses are beautiful. UC San Diego is a beautiful campus. UCLA is in Westwood, beautiful. UC Santa Barbara is just gorgeous, just gorgeous. And so, again, it's this coastal thing I keep telling you about California, right? Um, the coast of California is the looniest place in the world, but it's just the place where something like this will probably foment and get going. And I would say within 5 years, we're going to have talk about secession, especially if J.D. Vance uh, comes after Trump, wins, and succeeds Trump as president. There will definitely be that. But it'll be interesting to see because will the coast of California, I could totally see, will want to secede from the Union, but I don't think the interior will. I don't think the people that really make that put food on the table and make the state run, despite all the looniness of Sacramento and of the coasts, because California cannot survive on its own. It's funny. California's running like a $50 billion deficit now, and everybody's talking about that, how we're going to get that. But the thing is, people forget when the 2020 election, when Biden won, one of the big issues there was, will states get reimbursed for the, that thing, all the money lost for that, and that was when Biden won, California got like tens of billions of dollars from the federal government, and we had a surplus 5 years ago. We had a surplus of like 40-50 billion dollars. 5 years later, we have a deficit of like $50 billion. California will, on its own, California will turn upside down and float away into the Pacific Ocean. So again, California continues, the loneliness continues. It really does, especially here on the coast, in my neck of the woods. And it just goes to show how divided we are, how let's see, you say Newsome is an amazing governor, isn't he? But oh yes, did you know the talks about Alberta separating from Canada? I had heard that. I hope it doesn't happen because Canada is as loony left as California and all the blue states. I don't know about Alberta. I know Alberta is kind of like a rural, maybe it's a very conservative place, but I don't know that we want any of Canada's provinces here. It'll upset the balance of the Senate and the House, and that might be not worth doing. But yeah, that'd be interesting. So, and again, we're kind of an island of conservative sanity, surrounded by loony lefties here. They're in the north of us, they're at the south of us, and they're on both coasts for sure. So we're going to need somewhere to live, Lucas. Stay there. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. Again, the curse of living in interesting times, that's where we are. So again, a lot to talk about. I'm out of time. And I will see you guys maybe tomorrow. I don't know what's happening, but if not, I'll see you next Thursday. Thanks for listening, and thanks for your comments. Good comments. See you guys.